welcome to the Can Hub Show, episode 2, the Christmas edition of the Can Hub Show. Thanks everybody for joining. As usual, we've got a jam-packed show for you, focused on commercial cannabis cultivation. Jim, my colleague all the way from the UK, an all-round good bloke. Tell us what we've got for the folks today, mate.
Thank you, Matthew. We've got a jam-packed show for the folks today. Episode 1 was good, but episode 2 is better. So we've got some fantastic equipment, some news, reviews and interviews from around the professional cannabis industry. We've got Nina with the news from the Netherlands, brought to you in conjunction with MMJDaily. We've got Emily Rigby from Cannatrek, the A to Z of the cannabis industry, this young lady. We've got Arnar with his precision batcher in the spotlight. And we've got Benjamin from Boveda, who's going to give us a grower's tip.
Love it, Jim. Let's get stuck into it.
Welcome to the Christmas edition news segment of the Cannabis Show, episode 2. We are proud to announce that the news is brought to you by MMJDaily. New headlines this month. The UN Commission on Narcotic Drugs has approved the removal of cannabis from the list of the world's most dangerous drugs category, where it had been classified since 1961. Although the ruling has been seen to provide no immediate impact, as cannabis legislation is in the hands of individual countries, the ruling has been a symbolic victory for those campaigning for change. In news closer to home, the lucky 10 Dutch coffee shop experiment licenses were drawn recently. Those lucky enough to score a license must now shift their focus on building a facility and ironing out the bugs before Holland's first legally produced coffee shop cannabis can hit the shelves in late 2021. Mexico again came tantalizingly close to full legalization, only to be granted yet another deadline extension. The bill was due to be approved by December 15th, however has now been pushed back to April 30th, 2021. Please cross your fingers and toes for Mexico. Finally, Canada's own trusted partner Rigby has released a new DGX unit, which is built especially for indoor and small greenhouse applications. The DGX packs a powerful punch and joins an already impressive stable of products from Rigby. Keep an eye out for details of the DGX on www.can-hub.com. These were the headlines for the month of December. Enjoy the rest of the show, and of course I wish you warm wishes and a very joyful Christmas. See you in 2021.
Wow, wow, wee woo! What a crazy news from around the world. Thank you so much, Nina. Thank you, MMJDaily. Guys, remember, jump onto MMJDaily and subscribe for the hottest news from around the world delivered to your inbox. Now, Jimbo, what have we got coming up now?
Well, Matthew, we've got a superb guest next, a young lady by the name of Emily Rigby. She's the head of research and development at Cannatrek, one of Australia's leading vertically integrated cannabis producers. She's also the director of research at the Australian Institute for Medical Cannabis. So, without further ado, let me introduce you to Miss Emily Rigby.
Welcome to the show, Emily Rigby. Thanks for coming on.
Hi, Emily.
Hey, Matt. It's great. Hey, Jim. Thanks for having me.
No problems at all. We've got a couple of hard-hitting questions for you. We often bring the really hard journalism to the Can Hub show. So, first question, first cab off the rank. You played a pivotal part in getting Cannatrek up and running in Australia. Lots of hurdles to jump through in terms of regulation, building, you name it. You had to do it all. If you could travel back in time, Emily, what would you tell yourself at the start of that whole whirlwind experience?
Yeah, wow. Look, yeah, being involved from startup in a brand new industry with such heavy regulations definitely was a challenge and still is. Patience. Wow. Patience is probably my number one for anyone. Even now, considering getting in the game, make sure you have a lot of patience. Make sure you pace yourself. And I probably, like, to myself personally, would tell myself to have jumped into more of an advocacy role sooner. I think when I first started working in cannabis, I was a little worried about, how other people might perceive that, just with all that misinformation over the past, 70 odd years. But really what we need is more education, more people out there advocating. So yeah, I think, you know, to be more patient, but also to get involved and put yourself out there and educate, challenge, help remove the stigma. Yeah, do whatever you can to help push this industry along.
Yeah, well said, Em.
Yeah. Now, Emily, you guys at Cannatrek, you have all the modern toys. You really work at the cutting edge of the industry with the best equipment. When it comes to creating a perfect environment for that AAA flower, how do you select the products that you want to use, and how does a product, what qualities does it need to have to get into a Cannatrek facility?
Yeah, so look, we've obviously bought a lot of different technology, particularly in the greenhouse. So in protected cropping, you've got, you know, so many options when it comes to technology. It's really important that you evaluate every piece of equipment. First and foremost, is it fit for purpose? Obviously, there's a lot of toys out there. There's a lot of people going to sell you different things. Make sure, firstly, that you need it, and then secondly, that it is fit for purpose, that it is going to achieve the outcome that you're after. You know, for example, if you're looking at dehumidifiers, you know, is it going to be able to remove the amount of moisture in the air that you're after? You know, where's that equipment coming from? Is it even suitable to plug that in your country? So here in Australia, we've definitely had issues where equipment's turned up, promised, you know, that it can run on the Australian power with the Australian power socket, and sometimes that's not the case when it turns up. Particularly with cannabis, you know, hygiene's really critical. So how much time does it take to clean? So outside the greenhouse, you know, if you're looking at trimmers, maybe one of those trimmers is cheaper, but it might take you longer to actually clean it, or do does it have a hot swap out kit and things like that? And then probably lastly is cost, is that you really need to consider. So you really need to compare the different products that are out there, check that they're fit for purpose. You know, are they going to achieve the outcome that you're after? And then, you know, what kind of maintenance, operation, time and run costs, especially if it's using power. You know, do you have enough power to run all those lights? As an example, do they have too much drawdown when they start up that your system can't handle? So there's definitely a lot of areas and a lot of things you need to take into consideration. And my recommendation is, you know, is to probably put the price of the unit last. Make sure it's fit for purpose and it's efficient to achieve what you need, before you run out and buy something shiny with a cannabis tax on it.
Makes total sense.
Yeah,
now,
fantastic.
Let's get down to the nitty gritty. We're getting into the good stuff here. Your ideal plant, Emily, in terms of terpene profile, structure, temperature, pest resistance. What's your ideal cultivar? What really gets you going in terms of a good, strong, healthy cannabis plant?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I know, you know, definitely in the industry, we're really interested in yield and cannabinoid content, particularly THC and CBD, because we do have a fairly immature cannabis market, even globally. But it's great, Matt, that you mentioned, you know, the terpenes, because, you know, we really need to start looking at the minor cannabinoids and the terpene profiles and move away from this indica. Oh, love that hat. We really need to move away from, you know, using the terms indica and sativa and really more focus on the terpene profiles. You know, so don't know how much your listeners are aware, but, you know, the scientific community, you know, generally agrees that there's only a single species of cannabis. Yeah. But potentially subspecies of indica and sativa. But really, when we're looking at all these hybrids that we're dealing with today, we're not dealing with so-called indicas or sativas. So what we really need to look at is those terpene profiles, because it's the terpenes that give you those beautiful aromatics. And that's one of the really exciting things growing different cultivars, you know, is just, you know, the different smells when you come into the greenhouse. I couldn't tell you what I wouldn't know what my favorite terpene profile would be. I think there's so much research that we still need to do, because you definitely have that entourage effect with the terpenes, as well as the different minor cannabinoids. So yield, cannabinoid content, terpene profiles, pest and disease resistance is really important. And it's got to be suited to your climate. So, you know, if you're growing in a glass house in Canada or indoors versus growing in a greenhouse, you know, in southeast Queensland like we are, you know, we're looking for a different cultivar to perform best under those conditions. We like the shorter plants with shorter flowering cycles, really, you know, heavy yielders and high cannabinoid content is what we're looking at, but really good plant architecture as well. So there's those short internodes, something that's going to take less time for de-leafing and pruning and things like that. The less times you can touch the plant, the better. Obviously you save a lot on labor there, but you also, you know, don't stress the plant out as well. And it also makes it easier and fast for harvesting as well.
Cool.
Well said, Jimmy. You're up, mate. What do you got?
Well, based on the recent success that you've had in Northern Australia, Cannatrek has announced the intention to build a state-of-the-art facility in Victoria that's going to produce about 160 tons of cannabis a year. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. So we've got plans for a 16-hectare facility there.
Fantastic. And I understand there's quite a unique way that people can get involved in that. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Are you referring to like our crowdfunding at the moment? So
you've got some good news there, Emily.
Yeah, look, we are currently sort of towards the tail end of an equity crowdfunding that's just been really exciting. I mean, the journey with Cannatrek for myself personally, you know, has been epic and is, you know, has just been incredible. And, you know, through this crowdfunding, you know, we're offering people the opportunity to join us on that journey. But, you know, besides, you know, investing in Cannatrek, if you really want to get involved in what we're doing in Shepparton, in regional Victoria, then, you know, I advise you, if you don't have experience, go out and get some experience in protected cropping, so growing in a greenhouse. It doesn't have to necessarily be with cannabis, but, you know, if you're interested in getting involved in the industry, go out and get some experience. It may not be with cannabis. Obviously, that's ideal, but we know in Australia that's not always possible because there's not too many people actually growing in Australia. So, you know, everywhere from in the greenhouse to, you know, post-harvest extraction, lab work, security, like there's so many different jobs involved in a cannabis facility. So, you know, we're going to need hundreds of staff for that facility. So if you want to get involved, you know, get in contact. Keep in mind, we haven't started construction yet, but, you know, train yourself up, get some experience.
Yeah, sounds awesome, Emily. It's going to be an absolute whopper, and I really can't wait to walk through the doors for the first time. So I hope there's an invite at some stage.
Definitely.
Now, the question of the day, this is the one everyone's been waiting for, I'm sure, is your ideal dinner, your dream dinner. You can invite any 3 people from history, past or present. Em, who are you bringing to your ideal dream dinner?
Yeah, this one's really difficult, Matt, and I am definitely glad that I had a heads up on this because I would have been completely stumped otherwise. I think my initial thought just leads to an amazing array of musicians. I love music. I then thought, you know, I'm a scientist as well, so I thought of all these fantastic scientists and philosophers from history. And then I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing that I've had longer to think about it. But I think my number one, and in fact, if I could divide it into 3 dinners, I think I'd invite my dad to have him at dinner 3 times instead. Who, you know, he passed away 7 years ago, so I'd give anything for dinner with him again. But if I was to invite 2 other people, don't know if this is a controversial one, but I think I'd invite Timothy Leary. I think, you know, with the resurgence of psychedelics, you know, coming back into the spotlight, you know, as a medicine, and it's very similar, you know, to the story of cannabis even. There's a lot of parallels there. So I think, you know, I'd really love to have a conversation with Timothy Leary and hear about some of his experiences and his thoughts. And then the third one's really difficult to try and work out, but I think considering I thought musos to begin with, and my dad's love of the Beatles, I think I'd have to invite John Lennon.
Yeah, really cool. That's a cool dinner. And I'd certainly love to be the fourth wheel on that dinner. Emily, been so cool having you here today. It's been really cool to get inside the mind of one of Australia's top growers, head of research and development at Cannatrek. Jim, any final thoughts, mate?
Just thank you. Fascinating insight. So thank you very much. Thank you for sharing your time with us. Brilliant.
Thank you so much, Emily Rigby. You're an absolute superstar coming from a superstar company in Cannatrek, Australia. Keep an eye out for these guys because they are going to be doing big things worldwide. Jimbo, what do we got next?
Well, next, Matthew, we've got an absolute exquisite bit of engineering in our In the Spotlight feature. This month in the Spotlight, we've got the Precision Batcher from Greenvault Systems, and we've got Arnar from Greenvault Systems to tell us all about it. Take it away, Arnar.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Matt, for that great introduction. We're very happy to be here. I'm happy to represent Greenvault Systems and present this in the CanHub product spotlight. You know, to start at the top with our development there, we with the new newly open and fast expanding cannabis space, you know, both here in the U.S. and globally, we saw the need for weighing and packaging solution for cannabis flower. We worked with some processors, saw some of the archaic methods in hand packing, and some even trying some existing equipment like multi-head weighers at the time, and it was all very inefficient and wasn't cutting the mustard, so to speak. And we quickly realized, you know, that what was there was too labor intensive, rough on the flower with vibration and trichome loss, not enough accuracy, so people were giving away too much product or shorting their customers, and really just an overall inefficiency in the process. So we set out and we worked with some of the processors to evaluate what their needs were, what the needs were for the product, and what the needs were for the industry as a whole, and set out to, based on that feedback, develop what became the Precision Batcher from the ground up, solely designed for the purpose of weighing and packaging cannabis flower, with strict criteria that we set out based on what we found for accuracy, gentle handling of the product with our air cush technology, and of course the efficiency needed to reduce labor, but also produce a premium product in the volumes that were required.
So yeah, we're talking about a product here that ticks all the boxes for a commercial producer. You're going to be able to produce that quadruple A flower. You're going to be able to batch it out really quickly and efficiently. You're effectively saving space by taking away an army of people sitting at scales, and you are speeding up everything in a way that I think no other solution can do. So Arnar, congratulations on the batcher. Massive innovation and something that we're really looking forward to taking worldwide. Can we get you to stick around for a second and show us a bit of a video on the machine and talk us through its operation?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Look forward to it.
Bit of video for you now of the Precision Batcher in action. Arnar, do you want to talk us through a bit of the technical spec behind the machine?
Absolutely. So what you're seeing here in this video is, as you said, the Precision Batcher. The scales there's 8 scales in the batching unit, 2 scales for the check weigher below there that double checks the finished batch weight before it's released into the package. They're weighing to 1/100 of a gram resolution, which really enables us to nail down and minimize that overpack, which essentially you're giving away product as you go over your targeted weights. So we're really able to minimize that and ensure that you're never shorting your consumer there. You might notice in there are short puffs of air that are moving that product throughout the process. That's our air cush technology that we developed and patented specifically for that cannabis flower in order to really minimize, essentially zero trichome loss, zero breakage of the product. It's also very easy to use. You can't see it in this video, but we have a 22-inch touchscreen industrial PC. Very intuitive, very easy to use, easy to program for the operator. You could see this is the stainless steel there. It's all 304 stainless, which industrial design, very reliable, meant to be run for decades. And also those materials are of course GMP and FDA compliant, both in design and the material composition. We also built in, you can't see in the video, the SQL reporting right on the machine. So you can get your production reports down to your daily, your by strain. You have all that data at your fingertips. We also built it, which is a very important thing as this industry evolves and grows. We built this to be modular so that we can add on pieces like automatic filling of the packages, automatic capping, sealing, labeling, things like that. So you're future proofing your investment there.
I'm glad you pointed that out, Arnar, because essentially we can take a customer with the Greenvault Precision Batcher from dried flower being dropped into the top of the machine right through to a capped product at the end, ready to be labeled, ready to go. And we are solving a bunch of problems for a customer all in one go with this amazing bit of kit.
That's right.
The modularity of it is fantastic as well. We can say to the customer, okay, you might not be ready now, but in 5 years' time, where do you want to be? Well, we want to be fully automated, but we can't do it all at once. So where do we start? Well, you start with a batcher because that's the piece that's going to save you the most money and deliver the best quality. And you can work out your automation from there. Okay, we've got the batcher. Let's get the lidder. Let's get the labeler, and do it in bite-sized pieces and grow as the company grows. So it's fantastic being modular. Absolutely brilliant.
Thank you, Arnar. It's been an amazing product spotlight. Really appreciate your time. Merry Christmas to everyone at Greenvault Systems, and look forward to having you on the show anytime, mate.
Thank
Merry
you. Cheers, everyone.
Thanks, Arnar. Brilliant.
Boom. The Greenvault Precision Batcher. Every distributor of small package cannabis should have one. Please get in contact with us at www.can-hub.com to learn more about the batcher. Jimmy boy, what's next?
Well, next, mate, we've got our CanHub Growers Tip. And this month's tip is brought to us by Benjamin from Boveda. He's going to talk to us about water activity post-harvest. So, Benjamin, give us your tip.
If you are a part of the cannabis industry today, you already know that the age of just THC and CBD is way over. Today, we are able to identify over 140 different phytocannabinoids. Usually, you can add around 100 different terpenes or flavonoids to that very same mix. I'm Benjamin Patock with Boveda, and my top post-harvest tip has to do with the real problem that every cannabis cultivator or processor is facing today. Because by not doing the right things, we risk microbial spoilage, we can lose aroma, we can lose flavor, and we can lose, ultimately, potency. And just by volatiles being washed out of the flower. And this goes beyond your very own premises. Think about your entire value chain down to the final consumer. So luckily for you and me, all these effects have to do with one factor mostly, and that's water activity. While most international standards rely on moisture content, you have to understand that moisture content is just a quantitative measure. It will tell you how much water there's left in your biomass. Water activity, on the other hand, will tell you how much energy that remaining water has in order to fuel biochemical processes, okay? And think about oxidation, enzymes, browning, microbial growth. This is why ASTM has put forth a standard called DA197, where they put the limits for storing dry cannabis flowers between 0.55 and 0.65 water activity. Why? Because above 0.65, you really see an accelerated growth of all microbes. Think mold and mildew and all these. Below 0.55, you have an accelerated loss of volatiles like terpenes and flavonoids just by the water being washed out and taking them with them. So this is why you should measure water activity. And it's very easy. It's a small device like this, and you just need a small sample, and it's completely lossless. Okay, so you get a result in like 5 minutes, and you know where your water activity is at all times. Of course, Boveda will help you stabilize the water activity of your flower. It's really the world's first and only effective terpene shield by creating a microlayer of moisture surrounding your biomass and thus preventing terpene degradation. And we have seen terpene loss of over 30% in closed environments, in closed containers. So to summarize, 1, start measure water activity. It's very important, and measure it at multiple events throughout your process. 2, stay within 0.55 to 0.65 water activity at all times. And 3, whenever you package flower, make sure you use Boveda to keep your biomass at the desired level throughout the entire process, and this can be in bulk up to the final consumer packaging. So make sure you protect your product. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to Royal Brinkman or myself on our team. We're happy to help you. Hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.
Fantastic. And Boveda products, manage that water activity, save the terps. Matty, over to you.
Thanks, guys, for joining us on episode 2, the Christmas edition of the Can Hub Show. Again, to everyone out there, have a safe and happy Christmas. Thanks for everyone who joined. If you see us in the street, give us a high five. Like our show, share our show, follow our show, jump onto Can Hub if you need anything. We'll see you in 2021.
Have a good Christmas.